Basic dash check on one of our DAF XFs. Ignition on, ABS trailer lamp. First thing to check. All trailer ABS sequences are different. Some ABS lights will come on and stay on. Some will come on, go out, and then come back on. Some will come on and go out and only come back on again if there's a fault. Each ABS EBS system is different. When you're doing your dash check, make sure your EBS is coming on for your unit. Basic check. Obviously coolant level's low in this, so we topped that up before we went anywhere. Pump your foot brake. Taking your air down. Check your air pressure lows coming on. Basic warning lamp that. Obviously if you're driving and that comes on, it's pull over as safely as you can and as quick as you can. On the dash, you've red counter, speedo, fuel gauge, AdBlue, air gauges and temperature. When your air pressure is low, it gives you a sliding scale of what each air tank's at. I'm going to start the vehicle back up. Make sure it's building air adequately, which obviously you'd watch your gauges and let them build up. Backing lamps, always check your backing lamps are working. Sometimes in light it's hard work, but run your hand around the dash, you'll soon find it. That light means your catwalk lamp's on, which the switch is here for. You check your fog lamp telltale, which comes on here. Main beam telltale. Indicators, left and right. When you're disconnected from a trailer, square boxes don't highlight the square boxes are there to highlight that you have a trailer on and the indicator's working. If that square box is out, your indicator on your trailer's out. Obviously again, check bulbs, Susie's. Washers, 3-speeder wipers, intermittent, speed 1, speed 2. Check steering wheel cover's good, no real plate in the steering wheel. Check all your switches are there. Again, my pet hate is these backing lights on the heater. When you're driving at night, you can't see your heater controls. Your eyes are off the road, mess with the heater controls. That to me is a big defect, and we always try and rectify them whenever people put them down. Different systems on the DAF. Obviously this is cruise control, and this is a set speed. You can set a speed to 30 miles an hour, 30 k's, wherever you want it to be. If you're on an A road, a B road, you can set the speed limit on there and the vehicle won't let you pass that point. Let's go through the switches. This switch here is air suspension reset, which if I alter the level of the air suspension, we'll put the warning light on the dash there. To reset it, you press the button. There you go. This switch is for your lift axle, which is usually on the second axle. Lift, lower. This switch, diff lock. To engage the diff lock, push that little lever up, push the switch in, warning light on your dash. If that warning light doesn't work, you should report it on your defects, because it could end up where you've engaged the diff lock, you don't realise it's on, and you're running up and down the country with diff lock engaged. Now this button here is for transferring weight from your second axle to your third axle. It's very handy in when you're struggling for traction and you have a lot of weight on. Put more weight on your third axle, you get 2 presses at it, and each time it'll transfer between 1.5 tons and 2 tons. 2 presses transferred about 4.5 to 5 tons. To reset it, you hold it 2.5 seconds, let it reset. There we go. This button here is hill start. If you engage that, press your foot brake, hill start aid active. That doesn't mean it's going to hold you forever. Once you let go of your foot brake, you get a set period of time to be setting off, and it'll always show you that warning brake release. So it's very handy at traffic lights, obviously when you're on a hill. This switch is aircon. Cab recirculate. Down here your heat controls, 4-speed heaters. Obviously everybody knows what the idents are for them. Going into the middle of your dash, hazards. Check they're working, check they're working on your dash. Traction control, really handy when it's snow or you have a loss of traction. You use them with your diff lock and your weight transfer. Interior lighting, sunroof, main night heater switch. On the dash you have a night heater switch on the dash and the thermostat control in the bunk. Passenger side door lock, you can lock it, unlock it, and interior lighting again. Interior check your seat belt, point round you, make sure it plugs in, seat belt stalk isn't loose, it tightens back up. Any problems with anything in the cab, report it to the garage. If you're down the road, you ring the garage. If you're in the yard, obviously come to the garage, speak to a mechanic, sort it out. Next thing we'll go through is EFS control. Obviously most drivers will recognise this as air suspension control for the third axle or the second axle, depending on what you're driving. Try and put it into some shadows so you can see it working. That means it's activated. Lift and lower, reset button. If you've adjusted your air suspension and the lights on the dash and you've put this back into its holder at the side of the seat, you can always press your reset button on your dash and that will override that and put it back at travelling level. You never ride with that air suspension warning on your dash. It means the vehicle isn't at the correct ride height for what it's meant to be at. This is also handy for another reason. When you're doing your walk round checks, before you start, if you put it under the brake pedal like that, can you see that? The brake lights are on. You can walk around and check your brake lights whilst you're doing the rest of the lights. A lot of drivers of ours now, instead of doing that, have got a little piece of wood they put under. They've been proactive in what they're doing. That's about it, Jim. Right, it's wheel nut indicators. A lot of people think because they've got indicators on they don't need to check them. We've had it several times where drivers aren't checking the wheel nut indicators. When we do spot checks on them, they fail because they basically don't look at them. We run a 2-marker system. If they have red markers on, before you leave the yard you come to the garage for advice. Now we tend to run them out for a day and then retort them. Once they've been retorted they get yellow markers on. If you come to the garage with red markers on and the mechanic asks you to go out on your run for the day, get him to sign your defect book, write it in defect book, red markers fitted to whatever wheel position, get the mechanic to say yes, I've looked at it, it's had the wheel changed, it's going down the road for the day. It covers your back. Obviously if your wheel has been changed, got red markers on, they're more prone to come loose, so you keep a better eye on them. So every time you're getting in and out your cab, just have a quick look, have a quick listen around your vehicle. That one's one fitted with red markers. The unit all the way down has red markers on, because we've had it in the garage. The tray's got yellow markers because it's been changed, it's had red markers on, it's been retoured, that's fit for road, that can go out any time. I'm just showing you the difference between them and what we do with them. Next one, air suspension on the trailer. We have a lot of problem with this. Basically drivers not doing what they're supposed to and not understanding the system. A certain amount of these handles will reset themselves once the ABS kicks in, but we have a certain amount of the older end trailers that don't reset themselves and the driver reliant to reset them. You reset them by pulling them to the middle, pulling them out. At that position you cannot alter the air suspension. To alter the air suspension, leave it to the right, air suspension to the left, air suspension down, reset. Like I said, they are designed to reset themselves once the EBS kicks in over 7 kilometres an hour, but there is a certain amount that don't have them. It's imperative if you've altered that air suspension to set it back up. If you're having any problems with it whatsoever, you can always look at the back trailer airbags. They're not hard to look at. You can see there's plenty of air in them. when there's very little air in, which we've had a couple of times with a few drivers, the airbag obviously just looks flat. Which you obviously see the well down. There might still be pressure in there, but the well down. Any fool can see if you step back, there's something obviously wrong with that trailer with how low down it is. Just like that. Reset it. The trailer will reset itself and pull itself back up. As we put it back into a driving position. Should never ride with that air suspension down. All you're doing is damaging the vehicle and burning the brakes out. It's slowly coming up now. Right, coupling and uncoupling. Obviously I've backed the unit underneath the trailer. Got big problems with these. So easy couplings. Whenever you're doing a walk round check, you know what looking at. Just make sure that they're in good condition, everything connected. Make sure everything works freely, nothing's going to fall off. All your couplings are together, no cracks, breaks. The electrical fuses lock in. Make sure they go in. Everything right on the trailer, all flaps. They're in good condition, nothing loose. As we're plugging them in, we're obviously listening for air leaks. Next one. Again, checking it for condition, security, make sure everything's alright. ABS, checking it thoroughly. No damage in the end. We get big damage in the end of these, and then they don't plug in properly and your ABS or EBS light stops on, depending which system it's got fit. There it goes. Main. Take the plug ends, make sure they're alright. Stop coming out to the headboard. And now this auxiliary coupling, it's obviously split there, which is eventually going to cause damage because it's obviously moving in the plug. So we go to the garage and change it. Now every driver should have a spare set of fuses. So we'd expect them to change that. If they were down the road, change it down the road. Something that should be noted on the defects. And change there and then and signed off as rectified. And plug it in. Everything's secure, tight, fitted and running.